はい、どうもー。いただきまーす。見せられないよ。本当に見せられないよ。音量大丈夫かな、これ。はい、ということで。やっていこう。ストーリーモード。見せられないよ。ちょっとなんかテスト、動きのテストの。
YouTube 版記念パピコ。
YouTube 版記念、版されちゃうね、これね。あらー。これ、go to the right, left。やばいね。
ドッキルさん、ワコチコ。
丸入れてもバレバレよね。もう映像を見たらね。いらっしゃい。これ、アップ、トップ。おっと。
レッドアイズブラックゴリニャンさん、ガチでまんまやないかい。
ガチでまんまやね。これ動画でちょっと見たことあるね。この、リンゴ食べれるね。A ボタン。これ、汚ね。汚ねえよ、これ。よいしょ。とりあえずリンゴ食べていこう。リンゴ食べていくって言うんかな、これ。Go to the sand。砂場に入ってたね、もうすでにね。これは No one will 何ヤンキーパギだ。痛い。
レッドアイズブラックゴリニャンさん、そこ口だったの。
口だった。長い。
John woke to the shrill cry of his alarm clock and lay there, rigid, his usual morning condition. But there was another reason John couldn't get out of bed. It was the weight. A weight that had nothing to do with his muscles or fat or sweaty blankets. John was weighed down by a piece of paper. The invitation to his high school reunion. From across the years, the words he'd heard in the schoolyard were still clear. You're a loser.
日本語版がないんだ、こ
No one will
れ
ever。love you.
ででん、3、3。
レッドアイズブラックゴリニャンさん、白さんのって青かったんや。
白さんの青かった。白さんの青かったんや、実は。どっか飛んでった。
ミリエルさん、それで一番されるの。
わからん。一番されるの。色合いがまだ
John needed to shower
大丈
and
夫な
wash
のね、
off
これ。
the sweaty stink of desperate sadness.
こういうことかな。
レッドアイズブラックゴリニャンさん、お前は負け組って聞こえた。
お前は負け組って言うって言ってるかもしれんね。終わった。これをオフに。歯を磨けって書いてんの。なんたらティース。ね。これやね。よし。汚ね。痛い。
They say cleanliness is next to godliness, but at that moment cleanliness was next to his
歯
prostate.
があった。ブー。これで解放もしかして。これをこれでこれで解放だな。
ミリエールさん、これで綺麗になりましたって言ってたと思う。
これで綺麗になりました。これは次何したらいいんやろ。ピックアンオーアウトフィット。なんだ。おう。
John had 3 months until the reunion to turn his life around.
服を着ろって。
First, he needed to clean up.
これなんかある。あ、服着た。ここに入ったら服着れる。ネクタイ締めた。いろんな服あるのこれ。スーツ着とこう。よし、行こう。汚ねえ家やな。あ、テレビついた。あら、なんか。
レッドアイズブラックゴリニャンさん、いつまで垂れ流してるの。
垂れ流してないよ、これは。体液。あ、強いぞ、これ。これなんかボタン押せる？あ、押せた。
ミリエールさん、皿を洗えって言われとる。
皿を洗えって言われてんの。皿洗うの。うわ、汚っ。くぶりいてる。なんか食べ物ある。これは食べた。これも、痛い。あ、これか。これを、違う。それを、
タチャンカさん。
ふわっと。おちんちん。痛い。うわーめっちゃ食べれるやん。
ミリエールさん、何？
よいしょ。あ、なんか出てきた、ちょっと。
ミリエールさん、きれい。
あ、出た。
タチャンカさん。
もう、これうんこやん。汚ねえな、おい。で、何すんの？クリーン。どれ、これを今ので割れたで。痛い。
He had become late.
痛
He
い
needed to hurry, or he'd miss the bus to work. The only reason he'd ordered so much takeout was because Delilah, the delivery peen, made John feel butterflies in his testicles.
何？外行くんか？あ、出た。
John had left his apartment late, but if he caught the express bus, he might make it to work on time. John didn't really like his job. He had two qualities in its favor. One, he could pay his rent, and two, Barbara. Currently John's top candidate for his reunion date.
だ。食べた。何？バナナ？これは？なんもない。
John noticed a moderately attractive peen waiting at the stop.
マダムやん。マダムチンチン。
He tried to start a conversation and did not get the reaction he'd hoped
平
for.
凡なこと言って
It
る
was probably because he was a minimum wage peen. She could probably sense it.
ああねえバス
レッドアイズブラックゴリニャンさん、
ねえバスどうしたらいいん
ミリエールさん、ただ、ペイって言ってるから気のせいかおしっこって言ってるように聞こえる。
よいしょねえバグったねえバグったまたやり直しもしかしてこれまたこっからまたやんの
ミリエールさん、あ
バスに吸い込まれてっ
ー、
て
レッドアイズブラックゴリニャンさん、バスに吸い込まれた。
バスに吸い込まれて
ディクソンさん、チンチン終了のお知らせ。
チンチン終了のお知らせまあ生き方は分かったからまあすぐあそこまで行けるね手慣れたもんやねおちんちん操作ね
ミリエールさん、バスの動作がおかしくなってスタックしたね。
スタックしたね
タチャンカさん、
顔
John woke to the shrill cry of his alarm clock and lay there, rigid,
もうここは
his
分かった
usual morning condition. But there was another reason John couldn't get out of bed. It was the weight. A weight that had nothing to do with his muscles or fat or sweaty blankets.
顔
John was weighed down by a piece of paper.
こ
The
れ
invitation to
何出
his
てんねや
high
ろね
school reunion. From across the years, the words he'd heard in the schoolyard were still clear. You're a loser. No one will ever love you.
ででんででんよしやるぞよしまずは
John needed to shower and wash
タイムア
off
タ
the
ックや
sweaty
な
stink of desperate sadness.
レッドアイズブラックゴリニャンさん、こいつ学校行ってんの。
こいつ学校行ってんのあ水止めてもらったタイムアタックやのになんとかバスのところまで行きたいね話してそれよいしょよしよしよしよしで着替えてで
John had 3 months until the reunion to turn his life around. First, he needed to clean up.
これ食べとこういた違う
The only reason he'd ordered
Yes,
so
yes,
much
yes, yes,
takeout was because Delilah, the delivery queen,
Yes.
made John feel butterflies in his testicles.
お腹空いてるからね食べとかないとね
タチャンカさん、何か変だ顔。
一回変だ
John
あもう
suddenly
変なこ
realized
とは
the
ないよ
time.
よし来た
Distracted by his new drive to improve his life, he had become late. He needed to hurry, or he'd miss the bus to work. John had left his apartment
痛い
late. But if he caught the express bus, he might make it to work on time. John didn't really like his job, but it had two qualities in its favor. One, he could pay his rent, and two, Barbara. Currently John's top candidate for his reunion date. John noticed a moderately attractive peen waiting at the stop. He was tempted to talk to her. He tried to start a conversation and didn't get the reaction he'd hoped for. It was probably because it was a minimum wage peen. She could probably sense it. The office hummed with cold fluorescent lighting. The air was cold and stale, lifeless. How long had John worked here? Long enough to deserve better.
違うんか。ああもろいな。あ、ピザ入ってる。ピザ入ってる。食べようぜ。痛い痛い痛い痛い痛い痛い痛い痛い痛い痛い痛い痛い。
レッドアイズブラックゴリニャンさん、こんなん会社入ってきたらどうしよう。
いや、食べた。おれ。うわーなんだなんだなんだ。なんかあんのか、ここ。これみんな買おうぜ。みんな買おうぜ。マルチプレイできるらしいから、みんな買おうぜ。
He could sneak into the office through the archives, or he could stroll through the front entrance with enough confidence to bluff his boss.
あ、外れた。
ミリエールさん、イヤドス。
イヤドスって。なんか出てきた。なんだこれ。
レッドアイズブラックゴリニャンさん、何色にしよう。
何色にしよう。なんか出てきた。血がついてる。トマトなのか血なのか。もうないよね。ないね。何かがあったんか。これ何？これ何？こっちは何
？Predictably, he chose the direct route.
あ、ごめん。どうしたん君ら。フレッシュコー。はい。うわー
！Trampled by the morning coffee rush.
ミリエールさん、受付じゃね。
受付か。渋滞起こってるよ。うわー
ミリエールさん、それからのコーヒーラッシュ。
コーヒーラッシュ。
Everyone else was hard at work,
お仕事して
grinding away. John might actually get away with this.
なんか来た。
He honed in on John, deluging him with spit and buzzwords.
怒られてる。遅刻したから怒られ
The
てん
boss
のか
ran
これ。
out of synonyms for John's failings and gave him an ultimatum. Barbara would definitely not be interested in dating John if he was unemployed. He had to get to the quality assurance department. There might be a faulty dildo just waiting to cost the company millions in lawsuits. John would have to test them all. Every atom of John's rectum began to vibrate.
テスト50って書いてるってことはこれテストしろ。
His orifice was a paradise. This vibrator would end all wars.
ミリエルさん、シールドって言ったぞ。
50個テストせなあかんのこんなん。
The prostate pounder
黄色いに出てきた。
X900, the most advanced vibrator on the market.
ブラックゴリニャンさん、お尻テスト。
黄色いに出てくる。痛い痛い。
No, John, that's too much.
なななななな。ねえねえねえね
ミリエルさん、品質管理って書いてるように見える。ミリエルさん、早く管理して。レッドアイズブラックゴリニャンさん、黄色いのちゃんと試して。ナタデココおいしいさん、生き物？
痛い。生き物よ、生き物。ちゃんと。ああなんか実績あんのってない。ダーバイク発した。
レッドアイズブラックゴリニャンさん、リトルジョンだよ。
リトルジョンだよ。何？
John's butt hurt, but his heart was proud. If that vibe had gotten out into the world, it could have injured a customer as badly as it had ravaged his anus.
氷や。氷や。あ、これあれか。バンドエイド、これか？
The boss arrived and congratulated John on taking one for the team and jumping on the hand grenade, or in this case, putting it up his butt. John was having trouble following the conversation because he was quite high on suppository painkillers. And then the boss said it. Promotion. Finally, the company was recognizing John's hard work and ignoring his minor faults like lack of talent, constant weakness, and flatulence.
ミリエルさん、上司派なんか怒ってる匂い。
John's new office smelled like polished wood and success. John's
レッドアイ
success.
ズブラックゴリニャンさん、空をこよ。
Sam dropped by. He'd heard John had been hurt.
どうした？
John said he was fine. He wasn't a
くれんのあ
softie
り
to
がと
complain
う。
about a
で
mildly
も食べら
ruptured
れへんの
rectum.
よな。
Besides, he had a promotion to celebrate.
平和
John had met Sam in
サッカーや。
college during a sports ball game. He'd given him some stiff competition. Not stiff enough. They started a physical product testing together. Nothing builds a friendship like a long day of dildo mounting. Yes, John had known Sam for a while. But John couldn't hang out with Sam. He had a reunion to prepare for. He was going out with Barbara tonight. He just had to ask her.
ミリエルさん、友達ができたってか。
友達ができてしまったね。チン友ってやつ。なん
Everyone
だ？
was quiet, listening to the presentation. A good moment for John to ask Barbara out.
寝
That's
て
not
んな
Barbara,
よ。
John. Nope.
寝てんなよ。
Warmer.
ミリエルさん、あな友達？
Barbara agreed. Well, she nodded. Things were really going
レッ
John's
ドアイ
way.
ズブラックゴリニャンさん、ほら。
こら。
John tried to act as suave as possible and listen to Barbara talk business. He didn't want to blow his chances at long-term love and short-term sex. Barbara began to talk about monthly feedback figures, and John started to zone out, imagining him and Barbara at the reunion, a power couple. She would make his classmates sick with envy, if he could get her to tone down the boring chatter. John's balls were gripped by certainty. Barbara was the perfect date for the reunion. John thought he would impress Barbara by going behind the bar and showing the bartender a thing or two.
レムスレイペアさん、
Despite
くっちゃ
Barbara's
みでしたね。
protests that it was unnecessary, John
お
knew
待
that
ち
a
になっ
few
て。
gentlemen should follow her
こ
home.
れ、
He was excited.
に、
There were still 3 months until the reunion, and he'd already landed his perfect date. All he had to do was seal the deal.
ズバズバズバ家とかは入れんのこれ。あー、うんこ出てる、うんこ出てる。汚い、汚い。あ、スッキリ。あ、入れない。
ミリエールさん、バーバラとちゃんとデートして、わら。
バーバラとデート。これあれやね。家に送っていったよね。おい、おい、おい。
Barbara thanked John for the evening and politely did not invite him inside for coffee or sex, even though John had dropped some pretty obvious hints he'd be into both, or just the sex.
ホモじゃないよ、これ。
The door slammed on John's hopes. He didn't understand. He'd laughed at all Barbara's pie chart jokes. He'd listened to her boring stories. John began the lonely walk home, thoughts tumbling like shoes in a dryer. He had done everything wrong. Barbara had led him on just to humiliate him.
こっちかな？こっちじゃないね。
John felt empty. How could he get love? He felt like he was missing something, some key to attracting sex. But John was shooting blanks. What did Peens want?
ホームレスか。ホームレスチンチン。あ、食べ物あるけどこれ取れねえ。
Then it hit John out of nowhere. Stuff. He had the success. He just needed to show it off. But where was John going to get all the stuff he wanted? John
これ
needed
何
a
スタッ
sign.
フロール何あ、終わった。
A new day, a new John. He waited outside his local buttload
サッ
store
ク
for
ス
it
な
to
のかセッ
open,
クスなのか。
eager to spend his promotion bonus on stuff. The best way to impress women.
お、これか？
If it was buttloads of stuff John wanted, then he would need buttloads of cash.
あ、お金出てきた。抜けねえ。ね。あーしゃー。あー、なんかまだある。よし、まだ。
There's
まだ
nothing
く
like
れ
a
んのかな。
rectum full of money to make a peen feel like a man.
あかんのか、もうあかんのか。
レッドアイズブラックゴリニャンさん、ナレーションどんな気持ちでこれ読んでるんや。
なんか寝てるよ、君。あ、起きた。
ミリエールさん、残高不足かな。
残高不足か。もう全額引き落とした。あ、引っかかった。どこを通るんか。玉玉玉玉どうしたらいいんや。
Suddenly it occurred to John that he was going to make a lot of choices.
あ、怒っ
And
てんの。
every one of those choices would tell the world who he was.
お前らの
Delicious.
頼んで食べ物食べた。
Also delicious. How could
あ、
John
めっちゃ飯
decide?
あるやん。え、汚ねえ。
Mmm.
あー、うまいうまい。あー、うまいうまい。
So Moorish.
パンもいっぱいあるね。
Maybe
食べてるって
one
いうより
more.
吸ってるよね。ちょっと遠くにあるやつがこう。
John swallowed the last of the
なんだ。
snacks and his self-respect. What would it
値段お
be
かしいや
when
ろ。
they sat in John's home? Comfort
椅子だけで
or style?
2500。ソファーで500。こっち買うやろ。あ、これで買えるの。
John
おう
went with comfort. Plus,
Right.
it matched the couch he already
買っ
had.
てやったぞ。
John weighed up all the differences.
一緒じゃない。
This was a tough choice. Something told John this was the TV for him.
ニュースか。差がこれだけか？どっちでもええが。
John chose the extremely, obviously bad TV.
こっちかな。こっちかな。
John realized that it was only 2 months and 29 days until the reunion.
ストローク上下運動。
Time flies. Cactus or rose?
どっちも
Was
刺さる
John
や
a
つやん。
rugged hero or a romantic
まだ
poet?
こっちの方が見てられるかな。
If John grew his own flowers, then he'd save on romantic gestures.
サボテンは痛すぎるやろ。なんだこれ。
レッドアイズブラックゴリニャンさん、これ電車で見ててもいいんか。
There was nothing John
見て
could
てもいい
take
よ
with him to the
大画
grave.
面でなんだこれ。こっちにしとこうか。死ぬ時ぐらいはいいのをくだ
Except
さ
his
い。
coffin. Death is inevitable.
回収できるか。
Style is not. John liked to get his pizza
い
delivered.
くら持ってんのか分か
That
れ
way
へ
he
ん。
could see Delilah, the
フ
delivery
リ
queen.
ーパイナッ
She
プル。
always made him smile.
パイナップルのノーフリー。どういうことパイナップ
ミリエールさん、ピザにパイナップルを乗せるかどうか。
ル、ああ、右に乗せてないってことこれ。乗せてない方が。
ミリエールさん、酢豚にパイナップル入れるかどうかみたいな。
ああ、こっちの方がお得よね。乗ってて安い。
Delilah thought pineapple on pizza was gross. This way, she would never know John's shameful tastes. What bedding would Delilah prefer? John couldn't help wondering. Pizza sheets would show her that John could
pizza.
also deliver in
ピザ
bed.
すぎそうやね。
Devoid of any sense of style, buying new clothes would be John's toughest challenge.
服じゃん。女の
When
子
was
な
the
の
last time John had been to the beach?
男の子なの
John felt sharp, and also like a phony. It was a bit breezy, maybe for summer.
紳士。シロさん紳士やからこれで。
John decided to go with the outfit. Music, the food of love.
あ、おしゃれ
Should
な
John
方を
go
もらっ
retro
と。
sophisticated
紳士っぽ
or
く。
just retro? John was sure he could just pirate extra records.
レッドアイズブラック
Every
ゴリニャ
can
ン
was
さん、
made of
紳士
metal,
紳
pulled
士
from the bones
紳
of
士
the
や
earth,
ここは
wrestled to the
紳士
surface,
にあ
and
るんだろうけ
smelted
ど
in
とりあえ
roaring
ず
furnaces. All so
ミリエール
John
さん
could buy
どちらも古い
peas
な。
preserved
どち
in
らも古い
salty
ね。
water and stick them up his
これ
butt.
は何が違うのね。なんやろ。黄色にしとこう。
John's new
めっちゃ買った
purchases
な。
were
持
on
っ
the
て
way
帰
to
ら
his
れへんやろ
apartment.
な。
All he had to do was invite a date over. One look at all his stuff, and they'd be overwhelmed with sexual desire. John felt proud, and also hungry. It gave him an idea. He should invite Delilah over for dinner.
あ、うんこ。あ、帰ってきた。
John was excited. Delilah was on her way. He just needed to set the mood to
お
romance.
腹すいたな。冷蔵庫開けて。パン食べる
タ。チャンカさん、考える。
パン食べる。パン食べるの。よし。
ミリエールさん、ムードを作れ。
よし。ムードを作れ。ムードを作
レッドアイズブラックゴリニャンさん、
ミュージック
おうちデートするの。
おうちデートするのか。ミュージック。 いいね。なんたらローズをどうするのね。持っていくんか。
John hoped she didn't have allergies.
ミリエールさん、キャンドルズ。
刺さった、痛い。よし、ローズ持ってきた。キャンドル、これマッチかな。マッチどうする。ケツ刺すんかな。あ、刺さった。あ、火ついた。あ、こういうことか。よし。
ここおいしいさん、チンコンさんかな。
That must be Delilah at the door.
ドア。はいはい。
The door opened.
あ、ピザ来た。
There was Delilah. John gulped down his nerves and invited
あり
her
がとう。
in. John could tell that Delilah was
ありがとう。
impressed by his stuff. It was time to crank up the mood.
帰れ
to
帰れ。
seduction.
帰れ帰れ。帰らんの。で、オファー、電話するの？電話とかあった？ピザ？これじゃない。着替えてしまう。
ミリエールさん、ワイン。
ワインそれじゃない。これか。
John wanted to offer Delilah wine, but he'd already popped
バ
his
ツになっ
cork.
た。
Delilah started looking as nervous as John felt. He assumed it was because she was shy too. They really were compatible. Of
Ne,
course,
wine
at the
akan
reunion,
nata.
he couldn't mention Delilah was a delivery peen. That would be embarrassing.
ピザ帰れ。
Delilah suddenly headed for the door. And just like that, John was alone again. Delilah hadn't even looked at his stuff. Not even the pizza bedspread. The rejection burned. John felt insignificant. He had everything he wanted. The job, the money, the stuff. So much stuff.
何？
He wanted to destroy all of it. Shove it into the abyss. His stuff didn't matter.
なんだな
He
ん
was
だ。
a shaft in the machine. A lonely piston pumping away like all the others in his rigid place. Nothing special about him. Why should Delilah or Barbara or any other peen be interested in dating him? He was just like everyone else.
すべてを破壊する。
John wanted to be
おらお
special.
ら。
Stupid records. But he
あ、
had to face
失敗したか
the
ら、
truth. Take that TV.
失敗したか
Fuck
ら
off, inanimate objects.
イライラしてんのかを信じ。
And all the money and stuff he'd ever accumulate wouldn't change that. He thought it would make him unique.
Ay,
It
ay,
just
ay,
made
ay,
him
ay.
more like everyone else. He should leave it all. Get out of this little town and go on an adventure. See the world. Die, couch. He was a boring corporate
ボスって書いて
drone,
る。
but he didn't have to be.
なんなんボス
He
戦
could
あ
be
の
a traveler, exploring jungles and climbing mountains. He could visit the wonders of the world and get his picture taken.
マジで
Like Peony Island, the unspoiled paradise he'd seen on TV. That was it. John had to travel.
何何ん変わった。
Bags packed, John was ready to put 5,000 miles
でも一応
between
ストーリーは
him
続
and
い
his
て
problems.
ね。
He was leaving it all behind.
ミリエールさん、現実ワールドのボス派誰かを示せ。レッドアイズブラックゴリニャンさん、ルート分岐してそう。
あー、ルート分岐な。うん
John was so close. He could almost smell
あ
the
り得るね。
freedom of the
賄
skies.
賂じゃん。
おーい。
Security sent John back
Yeah,
through
yeah,
the
yeah.
detector.
なんなの
John had forgotten he had his nail
なんで
clippers
そん
with
なん
him.
入って
He'd
ん
have
の
to buy another pair soon, or he'd look
ミ
ridiculous.
リエールさん、ポケットを
あば
下にしろ。
爆発した。うわ
When the acceleration of takeoff had slackened, John felt a sweet relief. He had left his worries on the runway. He was up in the clouds, on his way to adventure.
これ飛行機の中やね。
ミリエルさん、神殿じゃないの。
ライオンを追った。
John's adventure had begun at
だって
last.
世界ちっ
And
ちゃ。
clearly, it was a small world after all, and also a flat one. That was going to piss off the globeheads.
レッドアイズブラックゴリニャンさん、チンコでけー。
チンコでけ。これ何？
タチャンカさん、考える考える考える考える考える考える考える。ナタデココおいしいさん、移動方法だけ最適化されてるのは
壊れた。あ、壊していく。壊したとこ写真撮っていく。お金が
ミリエルさん、多分旅行しろって書かれてる。
旅行しろって書かれる。うわあ、あ、これ使えるやん。
レッドアイズブラックゴリニャンさん、これが観光旅行。
あ、入った出たい。よし。まだ入った。
ミリエルさん、いいね入ってるの草。
これ入れそうじゃない？入るんじゃない？
レッドアイズブラックゴリニャンさん、日本ないの。
日本あった。鳥あったよ、日本。入んのかなあ、これ日本っぽい曲になってる。痛い痛いよ。
John was having fun, but something told him he needed to go home. Probably his empty bank
穴
account.
があったら。あら、なになに。あ、
John was
あ、
on his way back home.
後ろ
He
臭い。
was out of money, but money can't buy love.
あ、これ
What it can buy are the
彼女のじゃないの
experiences
こ
that
れ。
have made
今
John
思
a
ったら。
more interesting and developed person. With 100
レッドアイ
Instagram
ズブラッ
photos
クゴ
to
リニャ
prove
ン
it.
さん、穴ちょうだ
Finally,
い。
everything was going smoothly. John felt good to be back on the
ミリエ
familiar
ルさ
ground
ん、
of
お
home,
金なくなっ
but he
たん
would
じゃ
feel
ない？
better to be on the
お金なくなってし
familiar
まう。
mattress of home.
どれは足のやつや。
That's not John's
これ
bag.
か違う、これかこれやね。なんで犬流れてる？スイカ食べれる？食べれない。これで、これは
ミリエルさん、職務怠慢関税。
起きろ。うわ。いた。よし。行こう。帰るぞ。難しい。寝てる。起こしてあげなければ。
ミリエルさん、遺失物取扱所かな。
起こしてあげる。
Despite John's swell of fresh optimism, traveling
バ
was
スか。今度
exhausting,
バスか。
and he just really wanted to get home and get some sleep.
また吸い込まれやにせなあかんな。
ミリエールさん、飛行機の便ロストとか書かれてて草。落ちたのかな
落ちたんか。よし、入った。帰れるね。帰ってきた。近っ。またなんかチュートリアルが。あ、食べ物。飴はよいしょ。飴は食べれないの？お、鍵かかる。あ、これ開いてる。なんか出てきた。ラブレターや。なんだなんだなんだなんだなんだなんだ
ミリエールさん、ビッグフェイスって。ナタデココおいしいさん、玉若干小さくなった？
玉若干小さくなった。うおー、またか。またか、またか、またか、またか。
Another nightmare.
夢やった。
John's stress
ボ
about
ロ
getting
ボ
a
ロや
date
家
for the reunion was making him think of her. Harmony. He hadn't seen her in years. Would she be at the reunion? John shook off the thought. He wasn't a child. He was a fully grown penis.
ベンベン。
ミリエールさん、多分。
John,
若か
why
り
is
し
the
頃って
bathroom
ことじゃない？
barricaded?
若かりし。うわ、なんだなんだなんだなんだ。
Is that a swan? John had no idea how it had
ミリ
gotten
エール
into
さ
his
ん、
home
下駄
or
箱
why
に
it
ラブレ
hated
ター
him
み
so
たいな
much.
ことをし
It
よう
would
としたら、
probably be best
み
to
たい
leave
な。
it alone.
ああ。なんや。なんか家すごいことになってるよ。ベッドルームまで破壊してないのに、ベッドルームのところも全部ない。
John's butt started to buzz. Had he left a
なんだ？
vibrator up there? Whatever it was, he should get it out.
どこから出てきたん？
John's old phone. They really were indestructible. It was Sam calling.
食べれないの。腐ってそうやけど。無理やね。何？待って。
He wanted to check in on John. The travel looked
出
fine,
てる出て
but
る。
it was so sudden. Was John okay? Sam was such a softie, always worrying about
ミ
feelings.
リエールさん、バカバカ
John
や
had
ん。
only
Paka
one
paka ya
feeling, and it was the feeling
ガラ
of
ケーが
being
ここで
awesome.
出てきた。
He could drop Sam a text, but John was on a mission. The reunion was getting closer, and he had to get a date.
何言ってるかわからんからストーリーがわから
John
ん。
knew
あ、終わった
exactly where to find love.
ろうそく。ちょっと待って。この画面切り替わったら勝手に移動するのちょっとやめてほしいね。いた。タキシード着てるよ。
John held his breath.
持ってった方
He
がい
was
いかな。
about to meet his match. He had to reassure himself he could do this. He had a good job. He had nice stuff. He had traveled. He was ready to find love. On Weena, where all his sexy travel photos would give him the pick of the pack. Hot. Sexy. Too skinny. Very nice. Nice shaft.
何これ。
Very hot. Too short. Gorgeous.
なんなの。
リファリンさん、シロさんのニンニン色やばくね。
縛り上げて
ミリエール。さん、お相手を、お見合いみたいに探してる感じかな。ナタデココおいしいさん、出会い系？
出会い系っぽいね。
Yep. The pick of
紐
the
で縛りすぎてちょっと色がね。どうしたらいい？ボタンを押すんか？
ミリエールさん、左か右でなんか違いあるかも？
あんのかな？てけてん。Yes!
John had the pick of the pack.
出たよ、
ミリエール
なんか。
さん、何時間も後？
見つからんかって結局見つかったみたい
John valued
な。なんか
honesty
臭
in
そう
dates,
な、なんか。
but he had been expecting a different kind of dirty, a sexy and much more
うわ、汚い、
hygienic.
汚い、汚い、汚い、汚い。ピザ。なんやこれ。あらどこにスケート使うおっとさ。
ミリエールさん、実際にやってみたってことかな。
あ、刺さっ
キサスさん、ぬるぬるで気持ちよさそう。
John was scared of getting
痛い。
circumcised so late
どうやっ
in
てみ
life.
んな立ってんのそれ。
Oh,
痛
better
い
put that on ice. It'll be okay, John. Chick sticks cars. I hope.
事件。
After the reattachment surgery, the doctors had told John to rest. So he did, for 6
どこにい
hours.
てる？あ、出てきた。あ、直してる。あ、これ食べれる？あ、食べれる。
Ugh, salty.
リファリンさん、
Ugh.
女の子
The
になっ
date
ちゃっ
was off
た。
to a
女の
great
子になっ
start.
ちゃった。
Don't offer
ナ
her
タデココ
popcorn,
おじ
John.
いさん、女性である。ミリエールさん、早く行かねば。
早く行かねば。ちょっと食べさせて。大きなってるこれ。成長はしない系もしかして。
ミリエールさん、彼女多分帰ったかも。
彼女、今の彼女やったん？横にいてた。もしかして。ごめん、ごめん。
John was in stitches.
持っていくんこれ。
ミリエールさん、ブーブー言われ
Karen
て
had
たね。
invited John
わら。
straight over. She was not fooling around. Very
なに
excited.
なになになに。
And now she wanted him round the back.
ついていくんかな。うわー、なんかいっぱい。
Karen let John know that the cake was only for the kids. So was the candy. And the piñata. And that she'd be back in 1 hour.
子供っていうか、あれか、兄弟か。ちっちゃいね、なんかね。あ、ここに大きい食べるものがある。よし。あそこにもある。よし。何したらいいの？寝た。
ミリエールさん、子持ちの人だったみたいだね。
ああ。
John laughed at Melody's hilarious bullfrog story. She was adorable. Everything was going
これなんでなんであー
I never saw Melody again. So far, Weena had been a parade of weirdos and rejections.
比べ
If this date didn't
重
work
力
out, John
働いて
vowed to give it
お
up.
ーなんだなんだなんだ
Maybe
う
this
おー
time,
なんだなんだなんだ
maybe today would be his day. Sharona sighed
なんかあ
and
る
said,
なんか転がってる
"He'll do."
食えないあれブブブブって言うてんのなんか人間で言うたら喋ってんのやろねブブブブってなってんの電話でもビシャビシャ出てたからね割ってったよごめん
John felt a little underdressed and a lot overwhelmed. He was surrounded by strangers, and Sharona was glaring at the muscular groom. John realized that Sharona had only brought him to create some penis envy. What a terrible
ミリエル
plan.
さん、お嬢様かな。
お嬢様なんかすごい切り方した
They were
な
going to cut the cake. He's mine, Sharona
おいおい
screamed
おいお
as
い
she
どうしたどう
launched
したどうしたどうし
herself
た
at the newlyweds.
Suddenly, penises were up and yelling, "No, he's mine!"
ああ乱
It was a
闘が始まった
no-holds-barred cockfight.
乱闘始まったあかんあかん包丁持ってきてる
あ、もうめちゃくちゃだよ。
包丁持ってきてるうわもうなんかやばいやばいこれ何
As
逃げん
John
の
dodged flying glasses and cake, he felt a stab of envy. The groom had dozens of penises after him, and John had none. It was just wrong.
危ない危ないうわわわわわわわ
Screams and explosions behind him. It was a disastrous end to his online
でしょ
dating. He had tried everything, and it just wasn't good enough.
パン
He
なんで
wasn't good enough.
なんで食
Maybe the
パン
bullies
があ
from
んの
school were right. John was a natural-born loser.
うえ
Swans was so simple. If you gave them bread, they
あ
liked you.
パン餌やり
Can't take a swan to a reunion.
加納子さんわらわら。
どうしたらいいんやろノリノリやないか先へ進めってことかなしなってるけど大丈夫それうわうわお危ないなあ痛い痛い痛い痛い金玉
ミリエルさん、異世界転生しな
John
きゃ。
wanted what that groom had.
世界転生しなきゃ
Real love. The kind that makes
ヤン
penises
キーおる
fight to the death.
あー痛いなんだ
Days later, the question was still bugging John. Why were so many penises in love with the groom, but no one loved John?
It wasn't fair. John deserved attention. He had money and Buttstagram pics of his adventures. He even still had quite a lot of stuff. What did that penis have that John didn't?
何やったんや、今の。帰ってきた。テレビ向きやな。
Then it hit John. That penis was so strong and hard. That's what everyone wanted. That's what John wasn't. That's what John had to be to find love. It was time to hit the gym.
ミリエールさん、ワンダーコア。
寝た。
John arrived at his local gym. A part of him couldn't believe he was here. He just wasn't a
食
gym
料品売り
genius.
場
But John had tried everything else. If he wanted to get the perfect date, he'd need to sign up. Sam,
あ、おお、フレン
what
ドや
was
ん。
he
お
doing
い。
here? Of course,
that?
Sam was married. John's theory was right. If you get muscles, you get love.
オスやな、これ。
Out of nowhere, Sam asked
ミリエー
John
ルさ
how
ん、
he was
ジム
doing.
を訪れたみたいだ
Really
ね。
doing.
ジムなん。これ
For a
肉は
moment,
プロテイン
John
みたいな。
wanted to be honest, but he didn't come to gym to be a softie. John was here to get
筋トレそう。
hard. It was John's first time in a gym since school. He tried not to read too much into that.
あれやね。プロテインかなんかやろね。バランス。
Sam went on ahead with a chip promise to
Ma-
meet up with John inside.
これ、ザッていけんのかな。よしうおー水か。
ナタデココおいしいさん、彼女作りを。
あばばばばばばばばばば
ミリエールさん、相手に恵まれないし、自分磨きのために体を鍛えることにした。
John had two options. He
だか
could
ら
try month
強
by
いな。
month, or if he
お
signed
金
a
払わない。
10-year Big Muscles Big Savings contract, he'd get a free, easy squeezy water bottle. John wasn't a sucker. He knew the importance of hydration.
ミリエールさん、どっちのコースにしますかって。
ちょっとお金高い方選んどいたわ。ただ、くそ、操作が、なんだよ、閉まんなよ。
The gym's clean peen pool policy meant that John would have to do something he had never done before. Get naked in front of strangers. Maybe he could set a record for speediest cleanse.
なんかリアルカラーがおる。寝た。
Naked, John could feel the blanket of steam intimately against his private parts. But John was starting to feel good without clothes. Damn the hygiene issues of using gym equipment naked.
どこ行った？帰ってきて。あら。
Sam enthusiastically greeted John and offered to show him around, obviously not
Yes.
realizing that John was a natural athlete. The pool was like baptism, the icy water washing away John's flabby flab. He found his stroke, gliding through the water like an eel with large,
すごい。
ungainly
動きが。
裸のまま出たぞ。
This wasn't hard. John couldn't believe Peens actually got
すごい動きがプロっ
just
ぽ
for
い。
splashing around. Maybe he could become an Olympian. He was slowing down a bit, flailing a bit, but John pushed on, knowing that looking good
疲れ
in
てんで。
speedo was the only thing that
溺
could
れ
save
そうや
him
で。
from an empty existence. John wanted to take a break, forever. The pool was not his friend. It was not the blissful wet dream of
溺れ
his
かけてる
fantasies.
よ。
It was a hellish prison of murderous fluid, determined to drown him. No wonder life crawled out of the sea, desperate to escape the water.
ナタデココおいしいさん、まあ形の変なヘビだと思えば普通だな。
Done. John had not drowned, but more importantly,
うわ、なん
he
か
had
出てき
not
た。
quit.
いつも
Time to
大
hit
概
the
で泳い
weight
でって。
room.
起きた。
John tried to strike up a conversation with the sleeping sunbather.
回復しとこう。よしよし。
An unmarked syringe.
なんだこれ
It's。probably healthy. This is a health club after all. John's muscles bunched and bulged. The time in the gym was already paying off.
バナナということは。よし。上かな。
ミリエールさん。
Fresh from conquering the pool, John felt ready for anything the gym could throw at him, even heavy metal weights. John was ready to throw around some iron. There probably wouldn't be any horrible side effects from injecting unknown substances.
よし、これか。
John smashed the mirror. He didn't want to look at his old body. He wanted to be hard. Sam cheered John on, as if he needed it.
痛い痛い痛い痛い痛い痛い痛い痛い痛い痛い痛い痛い痛い痛い。次行こう。次。
Didn't Sam ever get out of
ラン
breath?
ニングマシン。
Stream of encouragement was exhausting. Slow and steady. That's right, John. Like a lover. Or pouring gravy. John, getting flung from fast-moving objects since preschool. John was getting used to unmarked syringes lying around. Whatever they put in these was pure muscle juice. That had gotten John's heart rate up and his life expectancy down. John was sweating like a senator on a sex tape, but he wasn't done. John took a deep breath, clenched, and pulled. Sam made this look so easy. John squashed the thought. He'd just have to push harder. John tried to make eye contact with Sam, get in his head a bit. Sam didn't seem to notice John, but John could tell Sam was impressed. Even though he still hadn't looked at John, not that it mattered to John, because John was in the zone, deep in the zone. With the sound of a deflating truck tire, John's sphincter gave out. Sam congratulated John for trying and told him it was okay to take things slow, as if John was going to quit. Well, he wasn't. John had a mission, and the reunion was getting closer.
Bang. Ah, そういうことな。なんだ？うるれ。ブンブン。うわー、違う。プリプリ。なんか大きくなってってる。うわ。
またでここおいしいさん。見た目はあれだけど努力だけは見習いたい。
努力で。
子さん、すげえ。
努力。うわー、うおー、早っ。うわー、うんこかやからな。ははー。うわー、大きなってる。ちょっと邪魔やな。 なんかやばいよ、それ。今のいかがわしいものやばいよ。何？
ミリエールさん、こいつ仕事中にファセボークしてるな。
Facebook してた。Go up to here って書いてあるの？あ、何やったんや。罰が出る。いったー！いったー！おら！ここか？スクール。学校やばいやろ、それ。
ミリエールさん、学校にそんな施設はない。
痛い！よし。バツって書いてる。
加納子さん、痛い。
痛い！骨入ってる。
ミリエールさん、あ、これは過去の因縁。
こういう過去が。あれー！バツって書いてる。バツはいかん。痛い！バツやん。痛い！ちょっと邪魔ですぜ。これはどっちや？こっちかな。ウィッシュ！出た。何なのよ。うわうわうわうわうわうわうわ。変な夢見すぎやろ。なんか家が筋トレ。
Jim had remade John into a sculpted Adongus.
Ding ding.
He was finally everything a peen should be: successful, traveled, and photogenic. It was time for his morning pre-gym workout.
なんか割れてきたんやけど。
一応片思いの相手入るの
The
ね。
swan was
めっちゃ
starting
ビビ
to
ってん
like
ねんけ
John.
ど。
It hadn't
ム
tried
キ
to
ム
make
キに
its
なっ
way
てるっ
out
て
in。hours.
腹筋なのかどうか知らんけど。何したらいいんや。アヒルがめっちゃビビってんねんけど。食べれるね。よいしょ。あ、怒った。怒った。めっちゃ怒るやん。よいしょ。よいしょ。ちょっと邪魔やな。
The reunion invitation caught John's eye.
痛い。
He read it again and again. Stunned. He'd gotten the date wrong. Very wrong. The reunion was tonight. Tonight!
Tonight!
He'd have to go alone. They'd all be there, and they'd look at John and they'd know he was still a loser. No, there was still time.
ヤンキーになったで今。
John needed a date fast.
なんだこれ。
He'd have to go out.
枯れとる。
He'd have to make an impact. John had to dress his best, only better.
なんだこれ、なんだこれ、なんだこれ。何食べてんの？何しろって書いてる。なんだこれ、なんだこれ。
This isn't the time for comfort, John. There had to be someone single and desperately alone in the city. Someone besides John. He just had to find them. John went straight to the nearest bar. Sure, it was still early,
なんか道
but
着
he
着て
couldn't
る。
waste any time. There must be some day drinkers he could pick up.
ねえねえねえ。うる。弱い弱い弱い弱い。
It was a classy place. Even the vomit was high quality. The bouncer looked like a hagfish that had taken up lacrosse.
ピザ。
ミリエールさん、どんどん絡まれとる。
めちゃくちゃ絡まれとる。なんやなんやお前。いた。入れた。よいしょ。
ナタデココおいしいさん、クラブに来ましたと。
クラブに来た道着で。
Much better.
喋ってんね。
John stepped into the bar and saw her. The answer to the question, what was John's purpose? Her. Loving her. Being with her. Taking her to the reunion. Their eyes met and John knew she felt the same. Gladys did not feel the same. But John wasn't going to give up on their life together. A couple of drinks would loosen her up to their destiny.
B ボタン。これ？あ、出た。
Wow.
Wow.
Gladys was not an amateur when it came to drinking. John had to keep up.
ミリエールさん、おごったのかな？
おごったのかな。なんだ？ラウン。
John's bladder was very full. It sloshed audibly as he moved. John needed to get to the bathroom right away.
何したらいいの？なんか文字がかぶってんで。
ミリエールさん、表示がバグってるように見える。
表示バグってるよね。どっか行ってしまったね。バグったね、これまたね。
ミリエールさん、周りの飲んだくれにもおごれってか？
バグったね、その前にね。 どれこれこれ
John went straight to the nearest bar.
またここ
Sure,
から。
it was still early, but he couldn't waste any time.
ね
There must be some day drinkers he could pick up. It was a classy place. Even the vomit was high quality. The bouncer looked like a hagfish that had taken up lacrosse.
もうでも、ここも分かったね。
John stepped into the bar and saw her.
かゆ
The answer to the question, what was John's purpose? Her. Loving her. Being with her. Taking her to the reunion.
Oh.
Their eyes met and John knew she felt the same. Gladys did not feel the same. But John wasn't going to give up on their life together. A couple of drinks would loosen her up to their destiny.
いいボ。
Wow. Gladys was not an amateur when it came to drinking. John had to keep up.
これなんだ
John's bladder was very full. It sloshed audibly as he moved. John needed to get to the bathroom right away. Too late.
えらいこっちゃえらいこっちゃえらいこっちゃえらいこっちゃえらいこっちゃあ進んだわ
To try a different bar.
全然全部飲み干せってことやったんか
John's anxiety had sunk under the surface of the beer he'd drunk, while his confidence was floating high. This was the place he'd find love. It was empty, except for the bartender. Clearly this bar's only special was unhappy hour.
ミリエールさん、飲みすぎてフラフラ
Two
に
for
なって
one
出た。
was a good deal, though.
Wow.
And so far, the beer had lifted John's spirits. Another 4 would make him feel twice as good. The bartender gave John a smile that set his heart hammering. He had to impress her.
何バーテンダーに
What was so offensive about offering a big tip in exchange for a date? John had
あ
thought
げよってるこ
bartenders
れ
loved tips.
ない
He needed to find a better club, one with a vibe.
ベンベン
John was drawn by the pulse of the music. It pulled him forward like a moth to a fiery death. John was running out of time to find a date and prove that he
悲
wasn't
しい
a
ね
loser.
なんだお
Dancing, the real way to flirt, the way of animals, of wild sexual creatures. John strutted and
踊りが
shook his booty. With booze buzzing round his head, John found himself on the dance floor. Everyone was up close and sweaty. John was exhilarated. He felt alive. John was working himself up to try a little bump and grind.
難しすぎんで。あ、いけたわ。
It was a moment out of a movie. John alone on the dance floor with a gorgeous penis, their sexual chemistry exploding.
何？
She moved away, coyly. John could tell when someone was playing hard to get. He let her marinate in the tension before making his move.
Yeah.
John wasn't taking no for an answer.
冬はもうなんだなんだなんだ。また追い出された。
Some people have no sense of fun, but John was certain the next bar would be different. The next bar wasn't different. John couldn't understand why everyone was so sensitive. It was like no
そこら
one
中で追い出
wanted
さ
to
れ
have
て
a good
て、
time.
ここもダメ
Like
な。
no one had a sense of humor.
調子に乗りすぎか。
John had meant that as a compliment. When did the world get so uptight?
ああ。
John's ego was as bruised as his shaft. He had to admit it. He'd failed. He was where he belonged, in a creepy murder alley covered in trash. Oh, that's gross.
お前は食われへん。
It smells like rotting dick yogurt. John's
なん
misery
か
was
ところ
sour
どころ
in his
ピザっ
mouth.
ぽいもんがあ
He
る。
needed a drink to wash it down. There was still one bar he hadn't been kicked out of yet.
でんでん。
John had cleaned himself up as much as possible. He really needed a mint.
来たね。来たね。来たね。B ボタン。
John
何？
nailed
入れ
it.
られた。壊してしま
John
う。
let out his anger, his frustration. Life was a shitty joke. It wasn't fair. You want to mess with John? Do you? This is what you get.
お
Fuck you, you
Fuck
fucking
you.
thing.
Fuck you! 壊せってことか。
You had one job.
あ、上に体力ゲージっぽいもんが。
Die, 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 die! It's not fair. It's not. It's not. It's not. It's not.
ほら。よし。
That's how you get what you want.
Get you! あららら、お金出た。ちょっと邪魔。
Ugh.
あ、これゲットする。
ミリエールさん、あの回転式の自動販売機でうまく出てこなくてイライラして壊した。かな？
ぽいね。こっちこっち。
John wanted the strongest drink they had.
ハロー。
Rough night? Someone asked
ドリン
John.
クくださ
He
い。
hadn't noticed her when he came in, but now he did.
あ、ドリンク。ごめん。
John lost it.
追い出された。
How had John gotten into this mess? He asked himself, as though he hadn't
喧嘩
touched
か。
first. Get him, John! I can't watch. Don't hold back!
こっちは鍛えてるんやぞ。
Give it to him! John had survived. No,
血なのか
He'd won.
これ。
He'd won. He'd won. He wasn't a loser.
ミ
And
リエ
there
ル
was
さ
the
ん、
proof
凶器を
lying
持
in
ち
a
出してよ
bruised,
セリフが
bloody
ない。
head.
笑。
John didn't need a date to the reunion.
勝手に持ってしまうから仕方がない。
The pre-cum out of those dicks. High school reunion, the perfect time to teach someone a lesson.
ドアタックルする。こっちか？あ、こっちか。これ壊す。おおな。そういうことな。なあなあ、お前ら。偽物じゃねえぞ。
The doors of the school. A sight John had dreaded every day for years, and now he was going willingly through them, unafraid, fueled by years of unprocessed anger fermented in loneliness. John was back.
帰ってきたぜ。What?
The chickens were coming home to roost, and they were all cocks. These were the peanuts he'd grown up with, now with jobs and marriages and beer bellies. John was surprised at how ordinary they had all turned out.
よし。これは刺さった。どうしたみんなこれパーティーか。
Whoa, John, save it for the bullies. John's rage was spilling out to everyone. None of them were innocent. Don't let up.
痛い痛い痛いでしょ。
Shake off the pain, buddy.
2008。
Whoa! Get in there.
ミリエルさん、卒業パーティーか。
卒業パーティー。あれか。いじめられっ子が切れ出したみたいになってる。
Dodge! Pow! Ha! John had won. He'd won. No one could say John was a loser
ジョンは
now.
鍛えて帰ってきたみたいな感じだね。何？
John's primal joy faded as he saw how the other penises looked at him. Not like a winner, like he was trash.
掘り出されたもしかして。
John tumbled down the steps, hitting every bruise on his length and his ego. It was her, Harmony.
お前誰や？
She had been at the reunion. She'd seen it all and followed John out. To laugh at him more? No. To see if he was all right. Why did that hurt John so much? This was John's chance to ask her. Why, all those years ago, she'd said to him, "No one will ever
寄り
love
添う
you."
ちんちん。
Harmony stared at John in shock. How could John not know why?
なんなの？
Didn't John remember what he'd done?
なにという夢だった。あれ？なんで肉？アップルじゃないよなこれ。
ミリエルさん、バッドエンドかな。
いやこれ最初じゃない。 リンゴじゃないこれ。蜂の巣になった。あれ、ここに戻ってきた。今度わしが長い。
ミリエルさん、悪夢よな。
あ、今までの出来事かこれ。エンディングっぽいな。刺さった。あらららららら。あ、学校や。やべ。呪いというか、怒りというか、憎しみが。スリザリオ。うわ。
There was nothing Sam enjoyed more than the fresh air of an early morning, the dew sparkling on the grass, the music of the trees, space to think.
あれ、動かせる。
What was that smell? It made Sam's eye water. Sam did love to feed the majestic swans by the pond.
これどうしたらいい？前進んだらいい？すごく操作しづらいんや。
It was John,
あれ？
passed out and crusted with vomit and regret.
どうした俺。マジ
John
か。
was awake and tolerably clean. Sam tried to be gentle and invited John to join him on his
難しいわ。どっちこう。右スティックと左スティックで2キャラ同時操作とかむずいわ。
Sam coaxed John along. It was like herding compost.
もうこの主人公多い。あ、タックルする。こいつもやばいやん。もう落ちぶれ方がやばい。ちょっと前進んで。
John couldn't answer Sam's questions yet. How had he ended up such a wreck?
またか。酒の飲みすぎか。なんかある。
Sam couldn't resist the tasty treat. John immediately felt better, but his head was still pounding, and not in a good way.
ジョンがもう完全に落ちぶれたね。
ミリエールさん、無線飲食。
薬ある。薬あるってことは、お前じゃないね。動かしたいんはお前じゃないね。
The throbbing ache dulled. John was feeling much more himself, and he realized that was not what he wanted to feel.
ちょっと、あいつ動かん、あいつ。
Even that bit of senseless destruction.
緑が掴んだやつは青が払うんや。
Sam saw his friend's misery. He suggested they keep going.
あれ、緑は？いいボタン。
John wanted to know something. Why didn't anyone love him? As soon as he said it, he felt like a softie, whining about his feelings.
あ。B ボタン。
But Sam didn't make fun of him. Sam asked him to go on. And so John told him the whole story. About how hard he'd made himself and how unfair it felt. And everything he'd done.
なんかあった。よし。こいつを後ろにやった方がいいよ。寝てはる。
Saying it out loud, John realized he'd sounded like an asshole. But he'd done everything right. Why didn't he get what he wanted? Why didn't John get love?
難しい。どうしたいんやこれ。いいボタン。
Wanting someone isn't the same as loving them, said Sam. You figure it out, John. But you have to keep trying.
よし。むずい。どっち行くの？緑。
How about a bike ride? Sam asked.
なになになになに。これ
John
乗った。
struggled to get his balance, but Sam told him not to give up. John kept trying, getting better as they went.
難しい難しい。これ確実に引かれるやつ。引かれた。 どこ行くのどこ行くの。どっちがどっちかわからんようになる。
John and Sam stopped and looked at the sunset. For a moment, John let himself be quiet and listen to the world and look at how beautiful it could be.
こっち行くのか。
Life can be hard, said Sam, but that doesn't mean we have to be.
終わった。終わった。The end! なんやろな。英語がわからんから、ストーリーがいまいちあれやけど。あれはない。ああ。
ミリエールさん、友人に励まされて美しい友情エンドみたいな感じか。またでここおいしいさん、友情エンドってやつか。
ぽいね。一緒に夕日見て。その痛い。そのリードはどこにつけてるの？
ミリエールさん、まさかのマルチエンディングシステムかよ。
ぽいね。なんかところどころバツとか出てたん。完全に分岐点ね。もう一人どこ行った？
ナタでここおいしいさん、待って今ペットのガチョウ焼いてなかったか。
痛い。あ、もうこれエンディングもなんかやらなあかんの。バッテン出たよ今。何をしたらへんや。エンディングも分岐あり、もしかして。来た。なんだ。
ミリエールさん、謝罪した。
ああ。仲直りできたんかな。スタッフロール。いいのか、スタッフロール、これで。終わった終わったね、これ。終わったね。マルチやし、これ。なんでマルチ勝手に行くの？みんな買おうぜ、マルチ。マルチでね、ゲームできる。 ほら。こういうことです。これでメインメニュー。まあ、ちょうど1時間ぐらいかな。なのでな。2時間経ってたか。2時間経ってたか。そんなやったか。はい。ということでね、これ、どうやって戻るんや。こうか。はい。ということで、今回の放送この辺で終わります。
ミリエールさん、意外としっかりとしたゲーム出たんだな。
しっかりしたストーリー。
なんとなく理解できそうなゲームでしたね。
そうやね。日本語なくてもまあ、なんとなくでね、見てられるかな。あとはマルチなのか、マルチエンディングなのか、どうなのか、どれだけのエンディングがあるか、気になる人は買ってやってください。200円ぐらいなので。なんか、スチームのレビューじゃない、サムネ的には、オンライン対戦は、8人ぐらいか、8人ぐらいで、サッカーとかさ、なんかそういうミニゲームの詰め合わせみたいな。
ナタデココおいしいさん、玉がサイズと見た目で年齢がわかるということが分かった。
そっか、玉で分かった。気になる人は買ってください。もし何人か買ったっていう報告があれば、マルチで遊びたいと思う。多分なさそうやけどね。ということで、今回の放送この辺りで終わります。また次回も見てください。お疲れ様。またね。
ナタデココおいしいさん、おつおつ。